Costa Rica is considered a peaceful green jewel in the Central American region, with visionary sustainability initiatives. 40 years ago, the scenario was quite different. Deforestation was a rampant problem due to cattle grazing. But governmental initiatives in reforestation through the last decades have reversed the problem. Now, more than 20% of the land enjoys some form of environmental protection. And there's greater biodiversity here than in the United States and Europe combined. The country counts with a large variety of endemic species, a main attraction for many travelers. Stanley Salazar, a local biologist, recently discovered a new species of glass frog, the jungle version of the well-known Kermit the Frog.
Yo empecé en lo que fue una exhibición de serpientes y de ranas, y ahí fue donde yo me agarré, digámoslo así, y empecé a trabajar y me enamoré de mi campo, entonces ahí fue donde yo empecé a trabajar con lo que son ranas, ¿verdad?
¿Te enamoraste de las ranas?
Sí, y mucho.
Sí,
claro.
pero bueno, vamos a ir a buscar una rana en particular, ¿verdad? Contame
Sí.
cómo la encontraste.
Sí, esa especie apareció acá en Costa Rica, en el Caribe de Costa Rica, ¿verdad? Aparecieron 3 poblaciones de esa especie y hasta el momento siento que es una especie que ha evadido a la ciencia, ¿verdad?
Costa Rica's wildlife really comes alive at night. It's quite an experience to be out in the middle of the rainforest, in the dark, looking for a minuscule frog. This is not one of the glass frogs that we are looking for. This is a nearby species. But could you imagine being out here in the dark with all the noises of the night, looking for something that is barely an inch long? After 4 hours exploring the rainforest, looking for Yalinobatrachium dianae, we saw 5 different species of frogs. We didn't have luck finding the one we were looking for, because, according to Stanley, this time of the year the rainforest is too dry for this particular species. The primary rainforest we explored looking for the new glass frog is part of Stanley's family property.
Esta finca tiene 140 hectáreas, el propietario es mi padrino Víctor Varela. Él tiene 40 hectáreas que son de potrero y 100 que él decidió conservar.
¿Y por qué decidió conservarla? ¿Hay algún incentivo?
A él el gobierno le paga un incentivo por año.
Entonces para la gente es común e importante conservar.
Claro que sí, porque aquí años atrás, ¿verdad? Hace muchos años se destruyó mucho el bosque, ¿verdad? Talaron árboles, pero ahora tal vez la gente es más consciente del daño que se hizo, ¿verdad? Entonces ahora preservan parte del bosque.
Going green isn't just a fad anymore. Climate change is a permanent topic nowadays. The environment is definitely under a lot of strain due to long-term practices. Some of the changes can come as easily as things that we can do in our own home, like this urban garden where I'm standing right now. But when the change is collective, major incidents can happen. Costa Rica in Central America is a country that is known for moving towards being green, protecting their natural resources while taking advantage of them. The abundance of natural resources, combined with Costa Rica's strong commitment to environmentalism, spurred policymakers to set a goal for carbon neutrality by 2021, a goal that has since been postponed. In 2015, the country rose 12 rungs in the Yale Environmental Performance Index, achieving 99% electrical self-sufficiency with renewable energy. We're here at El Llano Dam, which is part of the Rio Macho hydroelectric plant. We are with Elbert Duran, which is going to tell us a little bit about their sustainability program. Elbert, cuéntame un poco cómo ha logrado Costa Rica la sostenibilidad dentro de su programa de electricidad.
Desde hace muchos años Costa Rica decidió proteger la naturaleza, aprovechar la energía que ella produce para electrificar el país. Hoy prácticamente el 100% del país está electrificado y nos permite tener visión de desarrollo y un gran compromiso ambiental a través de las fuentes limpias como el agua, el viento, la geotermia y la biomasa, que son también recursos útiles, y ahora estamos también desarrollando la energía del sol.
According to Albert, conservation initiatives are at the core of the Costa Rican Energy Institute.
Aquí la empresa eléctrica de Costa Rica, que es el ICE, llegó a desarrollar un proyecto hidroeléctrico. Sin embargo, años después, esto se constituyó en un parque nacional. Es el parque nacional más grande que tiene el país, que abastece de agua no solo para generar electricidad, sino que también mucha de esta agua es la que alimenta a los costarricenses en el Gran Valle Central.
En muchas partes del mundo, ¿verdad?, proyectos hidroeléctricos pueden tener algo de polémica, ¿verdad? O sea, si no se manejan de la manera correcta. ¿Cómo han logrado ustedes como país evitar eso y lograr que las cosas sí sean sostenibles?
Esto es porque partimos de dos principios fundamentales. Uno es, un proyecto hidroeléctrico es, desde el punto de vista económico y técnico, viable solo si es social y ambientalmente posible.
New generations are at the forefront developing new initiatives of conservation. Earth University, a specialized university for agricultural sciences, is a breeding ground for these leaders worldwide. Students from 42 countries congregate here to learn about renewable energy and sustainability. Bert Coleman, head of the Renewable Energy Department, talked to us about some of the university's initiatives.
When you talk about renewable energy, most of the people think of, as I said before, advanced equipment like solar panels or windmills or things like that. And that's okay, and that is real, but let's say only a certain segment of the population can actually work or acquire this sort of equipment. Most of the people in Central America or in Latin America in general have different needs.
Renewable energy sources can be applied on a smaller scale in our daily lives.
Okay, we have here the basic solar cook stove. It's just and simply made out of glass. And in the inside there is
a black recipient.
It's a black recipient, so it will concentrate and use as much heat as possible. And then we have here a solar reflector. And
Does this go in the middle?
this goes in the middle, yeah. It takes about 1 hour to cook, for example, rice.
As a foreigner living in Costa Rica with a specialty in renewable energy, Bert has a convincing opinion on the country's tactics.
I think they're doing a very great effort and a very good one. They're really interested in, let's say, adapting the Costa Rican situation into the renewable energy area. What is really going to be a challenge is energy for transportation.
The livestock industry has long been underrated for its responsibility in climate change. According to the UN's Food and Agriculture Organization, livestock represents 14.5% of global greenhouse gas emissions. Although this is a high percentage, the industry has potential to reduce its impact by changing certain practices. Edmundo Castro, the carbon neutral program director at Earth University, showed us some alternatives in carbon reduction.
Bueno, aquí estamos en el sistema de producción de leche de la Universidad Earth. Lo que tenemos acá es un sistema de producción que trata de integrar los componentes de la naturaleza del mismo sistema con la producción. Por ejemplo, aquí los animales están consumiendo un residuo de la actividad bananera, como ven es pinzote de banano.
Y también aquí, pues como podemos ver, contemos un poco, se ve súper limpio para hacer un área de...
Bueno, muy bien. Esta es parte de la tecnología. Lo que tenemos aquí es una tecnología biológica en la cual la excreta del animal se mezcla con un material de cama, se le extrae la humedad y se transforma en suelo a través de la técnica del bocachi.
This simple composting system is then reutilized as fertilizer in the banana plantations. But the manure is not only used as compost.
Este biodigestor que tenemos acá es una continuación de lo que acabamos de ver en la lechería, donde lógicamente hay excretas. Entonces la excreta bovina que se mezcla con agua en los procesos de limpieza, aquí se separa. Entonces la parte líquida se pasa a través de esa bolsa que está ahí, que le llamamos biodigestor.
O sea, eso genera electricidad literalmente para la finca.
Al ser una fuente de energía, se transforma en electricidad a través de una planta y eso es un ahorro y aprovechamiento de energía. O sea, es energía eléctrica la que al final de cuentas obtenemos para utilizarla en el mismo sistema de producción.
¿Y podemos ir a ver la lombricultura?
Claro que sí. La parte pastosa, la que no pasa el biodigestor, se trae para acá, se mezcla con un poquito de biomasa, residuos de la misma agricultura. Por ejemplo, lo quiere entender, le puede meter la mano y darse cuenta que aquí hay un aumento en la temperatura, en la parte interna, y ese aumento en la temperatura es el que hace que se den reacciones internas.
Por favor.
Ok. Uy, caliente.
Sí, bien adentro.
Wow, es súper caliente, sí. Oh. 3,000 biodigesters have been installed by the university's students in communities throughout the country. Lydia Hernandez now runs her own energy-efficient parcel.
Que estos pollitos están haciendo dos funciones, para la carne y para el gas.
¿Y aquí abajo qué es lo que tenemos?
Ese es el gas, el biodigestor.
Ajá.
Ese es el biodigestor. Esa agua cae a la bolsa y de ahí sale el gas.
¿Y esto lo ayudaron a construir con los muchachos de la Earth?
Sí.
¿Y hace cuánto fue eso?
El año pasado.
¿Y ha sentido un beneficio?
Claro, y si vale a veces hasta 9, 10 mil el cilindro de gas. Y se cocina bien, muy práctico, viera.
She admits that some community members are still resistant to the change.
A veces se enojan conmigo y dicen, es para quitarme la clientela. Le digo yo, no, es para salud de uno, les digo. Entonces, por ahí han estado molestas porque yo digo eso, que aprendamos a comer saludable y más cómodo, ¿verdad? Y más bueno porque está fresquito.
Although there is a strong movement towards being green and organic, Costa Rica has one of the highest levels of agrochemical consumption in the world, according to the World Resource Institute. Que hablando de los agroquímicos, ¿qué es ese ruido que oímos?
Supuestamente que están cuidando la planta del banano.
Pero eso es agroquímico, lo que
Sí.
están echando.
Ajá. Sí, y también lo afecta a uno esas cosas. Hasta cierta parte uno va, le cae eso, le quema la piel. Es malo eso.
The Regional Institute for Studies in Toxic Substances shows that Costa Rica uses an average of 18.3 kilograms of agrochemicals per hectare. This is more than China and the United States, who rank second and third, respectively. The agro industry is not the only one with present conflicts. Punta Arenas, Costa Rica is home to the largest fishing industry in the country. Indiscriminate fishing practices over the last few decades has highly affected local fishermen and also put a lot of pressure on local marine sea life. Certain species such as the hammerhead shark, the silky shark, and different species of marine sea turtles are endangered. The government has also been highly criticized due to their lack of control over the industry.
Costa Rica es más grande en mar territorial y patrimonial que lo que territorialmente mide. Sin embargo, creo que muchas veces lo hemos visto ajeno a nosotros.
The main problem the industry faces is overfishing, and what is known in the business as bycatch. That's when sea creatures like dolphins, turtles, and sharks are accidentally caught while fishing for another species. Costa Rican Senator Ronnie Monge admits that although Costa Rica is green, it is not always blue.
Y nos hemos preocupado directamente por nuestro hábitat, por lo que tenemos en relación directa, creyendo que toda la zona de influencia marina tarde o temprano no nos va a perjudicar.
The highest incidental catch of non-targeted species is directly associated to the shrimp trawling industry worldwide, an activity that was banned in Costa Rica in 2013. The last active licenses are set to expire in 2019. Other fishing techniques are also affecting the country's oceans, according to Randall Arauz, president of the Marine Turtle Restoration Project.
The thing is, if they don't stop now, it's going to stop within 10 years on its own.
Yeah.
And if we see like the shrimp trawl fishery, we used to have 57 boats in Costa Rica. Now we're down to 25 or 20, and not because of any sustainability measure, it's just because it doesn't work anymore. It's not feasible. The costs are very high, the production is dropping, and with longlining, it's the same thing.
The problem is, longline fishery has been an important industry for Costa Rica for over 50 years.
We don't need to close the longline fishery completely. We need a longline fishery, but we need it to be regulated.
The Costa Rican Fishery Institute, Incopesca, is the entity that manages fishing regulations, in conjunction with the Ministry of Environment. Both have been criticized by conservationists for turning a blind eye to overfishing problems in the past. New regulations are in place to mitigate the situation, but the damage seems to have already been done.
Mahi catches have declined 60% over the last 15 years. Sharks have declined 80% during the last 20 years. Everything is declining. It's harder and harder to make ends meet. And it seems like nobody here has ever read a book about the problem with fisheries. You overfish, and then you get a bigger boat, as if a bigger boat is going to make more fish.
Costa Rica has 10% of tuna production in the eastern Pacific Ocean. Big boats like those used by the international fisheries in Punta Arenas count with high technology and large nets that surround the tuna and pull them out of the water with everything that surrounds them. causing indiscriminate harm.
The Costa Rican fishing fleet needs help in getting more up-to-date in new technologies to be able to be more profitable, more sustainable, more selective in their catches.
Moises Moog is a local fishery scientist looking for options to help make the industry more sustainable.
Costa Rica has a very bright future in terms of these tuna fisheries. Is the more valuable resource of the country, and we are very much interested in helping the local tuna fishermen, basically here in Punta Arenas, getting that value out of the sea.
Like Robert Nunez, a local entrepreneur is trying to do, by implementing sustainable fishing practices.
Our company is looking towards, we don't believe in, or we're starting not to believe in, just throwing line 20, 30 miles of line and catching whatever. And right now, what we've put on the boat and what we've been using for the last 3 years is a system called the Green Stick.
The Green Stick is a specialized trolling system that targets tuna schools directly, using a radar that scans for schools of tuna in a 17-mile diameter. Once the schools are identified, the fishermen can then throw line for that particular species, minimizing numbers of bycatch incidents.
It's important that Costa Rica puts their part in to be towards the sustainable, and plus that's basically the way it needs to go. You can't just have just an open ticket where you're just throwing, what I believe, just throwing line and picking up whatever hits. I don't think that's the future of fishing.
A permanent subject of debate in Costa Rica's marine policies is the country's position on shark exports. Fishing and exporting shark meat and fins of certain species is currently legal. Most of the fisheries working in shark exports are foreign.
Efectivamente, ahí hay un gran hueco de la política conservacionista de Costa Rica, y aquí hay que ser francos, ¿verdad? Hemos tenido un discurso contra el aleteo del tiburón, pero sin embargo es permitido a vista y paciencia de las autoridades. Creo que hay que ser más enérgicos, creo que tenemos que tener sanciones más fuertes.
In 2013, Costa Rica was at the head of the commission that lobbied for the inclusion of the hammerhead shark in the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, CITES.
Okay, well, the shark fin industry, of course, is huge, but the Chinese are the main consumers. So it's a huge industry, and when we were in CITES, in order to protect one of these species through the convention, you need the support of 2/3 of the country. But in the end, we were able to win the vote by 5. The hammerhead sharks were included in CITES, which means now they were going to get international protection.
As of September 2014, it was illegal to export hammerhead shark fins without appropriate proof of sustainable extraction. In November of 2014, Costa Rica granted a license to export almost 1/2 ton of hammerhead shark fin. Officials argue that all the exported fins had been incidental bycatch and landed attached to shark bodies as required by law. Considering this an exception for public interest, conservationists disagree.
But then 1.5 years later, which is the first country to violate CITES? Costa Rica.
Due to awareness campaigns and the government's anti-shark fin position, consumption has dropped in the Chinese market. A group called Wild Aid has run a series of campaigns against the consumption of shark fins, like this one with famous basketball player Yao Ming.
没有买卖就没有杀害。
President Solis was awarded the Shark Enemy Award earlier in 2016 by a German NGO, Shark Project. Since then, the government has taken a different stance on the subject, including 3 new species of sharks in a recent Memorandum of Understanding signing at the Convention of Migratory Species. Costa Rica has proudly shown their advances on land conservationism and sustainability, gaining international recognition because of their efforts. But as the bar on land has been raised, this country has to face the challenge of extending their conservationist actions for the sake of their seas. Only time will tell.